Okay.
Okay, good morning and welcome to Breakfast with... Oh my, we'll start over. Hold on. This is a Kmart production brought to you by Dudzik Chiropractic and MJB Electric.
Listener's discretion is advised. Zabills Podcast.
Welcome to Zabills Podcast. If this is your first time, we discuss the Bills games while we review two different Buffalo pizzas. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the big show.
All right, welcome back, folks, to another episode of Breakfast with Zabills. Today, our guest is Neil from Winston Salem, North Carolina. I said that right, Neil?
Sunny Winston.
Yeah. All right. Neil, how beautiful is it down there?
Oh, it's gorgeous. I think it was 82 today, bright blue sky. I was outside and working on the lawn, stuff like that. It was beautiful.
Do you play golf? Do you fish? What's your outdoor passion?
Golf, as often as I can. Most of my outdoor passions now are watching my daughter play lacrosse and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nice. Neil, are you close to, I tried to do my research, but I got sidetracked. Are you close to NC State University?
No, NC State is in Raleigh. We're in the center of North Carolina.
Okay.
And actually, depending on how old you are, we're about less than a half hour from Mayberry, North Carolina.
Okay.
Oh, the Andy Griffith.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Sean also looked up that you're in the Tobacco Belt or something?
Tobacco Road. Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The Winston Salem, I mean, that is like the epicenter of Tobacco Road, North Carolina, right?
Yeah. Actually, Reynolds is corporate headquartered here in
Yes.
Winston-Salem. And actually, if you didn't recognize it, Winston-Salem are the names of the brands that they had.
Yes,
Winston
indeed.
cigarettes, Salem cigarettes.
Yeah, that just went through my head.
I was stunned at how big, at least on Wikipedia, which never lies, but how big of a kind of epicenter Winston-Salem is. It's combination of two smaller cities that like a Scranton Wilkes-Barre type thing, or is it just one cosmopolitan?
It's just one cosmopolitan,
Okay.
but it's part of what we call the Piedmont Triad.
Okay.
There's three cities, Greensboro and Winston-Salem and High Point, and they're three cities within 20 minutes of each other. So, if we want to go see some show or something like that, we'll typically go to Greensboro. There'll be smaller shows here in Winston, and then there's some other activities that are out in High Point too.
Gotcha. All right. So now I got the geography down. I know it's beautiful regardless, and you're basking in the sun. Wonderful.
That's true.
So, Neil, what major college universities are you close to?
Wake Forest is right here in town.
Okay.
Oh.
There we go.
The Demons.
So Demon Deacons are here, football, baseball, basketball especially.
Okay.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean,
How far are you from UNC?
That's about a little less than 2 hours, about an hour and 40 minutes.
Right. That's good.
That's a little bit east of us.
Okay. All right. So, Neil, you I assume, are the chapter president for the Winston-Salem Bills Mafia?
Yeah, I laugh at that because I started the group and I got it going and everything, and we found a bar and all that. And we'll get to that story, I guess. But I'm at one of the games, and one of the guys that started was one of the first 10 guys. Came into the bar that day and said, "Hey, I hope you don't mind, but I put you as president for the chapter up on the Bills site, and I used all your contact information." I was like, "Yeah, that's fine, whatever."
That's awesome.
Okay, so I guess we'll just dive into that part. What are your day-to-days with the chapter?
During the season, pretty much just doing some advertisement and growing the site, growing the membership. Really not a whole lot. I just try to get people out to the games. So the more people, the more fun.
Yeah. What type of, or what's your relationship? I believe you guys do this at the Thirsty Palate.
Yes, kind of. Yeah,
Okay.
we do it at Thirsty Palate, but you see, it's evolved. We started about 18 months ago, and the first year we didn't have any place, and then we had our first meeting at a local bar with about 20 of us, and the local bar was also an Eagles club, and
jeez.
they wouldn't let us have the games on Sundays. So we're like, we got to find a place. And after a couple of weeks, I had heard rumor that there was a guy that owned a bar downtown that was from Buffalo and had shown the games there once in a while. So I actually worked downtown at the time, and I went in and stopped to see him, and he said, "Oh yeah, we got 5 or 10 people that come in here every week." And so I said, "Would you mind if we had everybody else come in here?" He was all for it. And last year, at the beginning of the year, he actually purchased a restaurant almost right next to the bar. And both of them now, it's called the Thirsty Palate and the Hungry Palate, the restaurant.
Oh, nice.
Both of them show the games now.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's awesome.
How did your chapter look when you mentioned that you guys didn't have a place? Was everybody coming over to your house?
No, actually, one of the first 5 members, I did have them come over to watch one of the games. I was just trying to get people together, and after that, I started doing a little bit of marketing. Actually made up little business cards because I kept running into people all over the place wearing Bills gear. And so instead of just saying "Go Bills," I would say "Go Bills," and I'd give them a card.
There you go.
And it would say join the Facebook page. And then the Facebook page got bigger and bigger. And then when we got to about 50 people on the Facebook page, I said, "Hey, we should get together for a game." And we got about 20 people at the very first meeting.
Okay, cool. At the Hungry Palate and the Thirsty Palate, have you guys, I know you said you're about 18 months new. Do you guys have buffalo cuisine in there yet or no? Or do you already have it because he was from
The Thirsty Palate
Buffalo?
is just a bar, so they don't have food. But the Hungry Palate has awesome wings, and this year he has brought beef unweck.
Oh,
Yeah.
And he's got the Kimmelweck rolls from
Yep.
Costanza's.
Oh, yeah.
And it's on point. It's awesome. I get it every week. It's my go-to.
Yeah, that's if it's really good, you can't go wrong with that Kimmelweck roll, though. But it's got to be a lot easier to bring down Kimmelweck rolls and beef unweck than trying to bring down Buffalo-style pizza.
Yeah, no, pizza. There's a bunch of Buffalo bars around here because we're close. We're about a half hour, 45 minutes from Charlotte too.
okay.
And there's a bar. A bar/restaurant that has there's a couple of them within Charlotte or right outside of Charlotte, and they have beef unweck and they have wings and they have buffalo pizza. But the wings and the weck are usually good, but it's the pizza that's hard to replicate.
Yeah. It's the buffalo water you need.
Yes, straight from Lake Erie.
Yeah, the swill.
That's right. Love that dirty water, right?
That's
Right. Well,
Swill.
that's
Swill.
Boston, but it's all dirty up northeast.
Fill in the blank,
Right. So Neil, are you born and raised North Carolina? Are you from Buffalo? What's your Buffalo connection?
Tonawanda.
Oh my
Tonawanda.
goodness.
That's our base of operations.
Yeah, home base is Tonawanda.
Holy moly.
I heard it, and actually I was listening to one of the podcasts, and you had Jim on from South Carolina. I said he used to work at DePaulo's.
Yes.
Yes, that's down the street from where we live.
It's on the street. Oh, then you guys know where, you probably knew where I lived. I can give you the streets and all that. But a couple of buddies of mine worked at DePaulo's, and so we probably know, or they probably know. Jim probably knows my friends that worked at DePaulo's because they sound like they worked at the same time too.
No kidding.
We are in very close proximity to Kenmore East High School.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in extremely close proximity. You know where Briarhurst is?
Oh my
You know
God.
Grace Baptist Church?
Yeah.
I live right across the street from Grace Baptist.
Neil, I live at the other end.
You live what?
I live on the other end where Brand Names was.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'm on the first
Small
block.
world, I'm telling you.
In Western New York, it's always a small world.
Wow, we're on the same street.
So I got.
So how long were you here for?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
25 years, and then I'm old, so it was 25 years there, and then I moved to Massachusetts for 20-some years, and then I moved out here in North Carolina about 7 years ago.
This is like the same. You have almost a similar path to Jim from the previous podcast.
Yes.
I was listening to him. I'm like, dude, this sounds so familiar.
Yeah, because he said he went to Connecticut for a while, and then he went down there.
I lived outside of Boston, and I'll tell you, 20 years in Boston during the Brady era sucked.
Oh, I can only imagine.
The crap that I got.
I know. And you're hanging on to that Bills banner as best as you can in a city that's full of champions. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to digest. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I got a lot of crap, and I still got a lot of crap even until Josh Allen came, and now I kind of give a little crap.
Yeah. Were you in Boston when Josh was drafted?
No.
Okay, so you had moved prior to Josh being drafted as a Bill.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I still have a lot of those friends on Facebook and stuff.
Okay. Last question about history. Did you graduate at Kenmore East?
No, actually, I was a St. Joe's guy.
Oh, Big Murph. That's for you.
I wonder
buddy.
if he knows Big Murph.
I don't know.
We can ask him after this.
We'll have
over.
to ask him. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you keep your allegiance to the Buffalo Sabres, or did you drink the championship water?
Shut up, Sean.
And decide you were going to be a Bruins fan?
No, I am an absolute Sabres fan. I watch every game here at home in the basement.
My goodness.
And even though my brother-in-law, the other side of my family are all Bruins fans, I hate the Bruins. And I know you love the Bruins, but I hate the Bruins.
He does. So, okay, safe assumption, you met your wife in Boston?
No, Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
See, they're from upstate New York. They're from Plattsburgh.
Oh, yeah, okay. SUNY Plattsburgh.
That is so funny.
My brother-in-law is a Bills fan and a Bruins fan.
Oh, just
He's
like
got
Sean.
good taste. He's got great taste.
So, Neil, I grew up originally in Saratoga, New York area. I moved out here for college because my parents were born and raised out here, went to Kenmore East, and then they moved to Ohio, and then I ended up in Saratoga. Graduated out there, moved out here, met my wife, and now I'm stuck here.
No. My wife was out here after school, after college, UB. Yep. And I met her. My sister-in-law introduced us.
Oh, okay. Man.
I actually wasn't living in Buffalo when I met her. I was living in Boston when I met her.
Oh, wow.
But she's from Buffalo? Oh, no, you said she's from Plattsburgh.
Yeah. Well, that's, yeah.
Plattsburgh. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about the Sabres for a second because there was some big news that just happened recently. 13 years without a playoff. And then do you think they should have canned more than who they did, or you think it's okay with the Granado and why didn't they get rid of all the assistants? Like, why would you keep Matt Ellis?
I heard a rumor. I don't know if it's true, and I haven't really looked it up yet, but I heard that their contracts had expired, and therefore they didn't need to be fired. Therefore, they are like free agents.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's a possibility, but I don't know why you would keep Matt Ellis. And if they bring in another coach is going to bring in their own assistants probably anyway.
Right.
Unless they have some relationship with Matt Ellis to begin with, chances are they will probably release him anyways.
How funny was that in that little picture that the Sabres released that the video guy got axed to? The poor video guy. What was his position? Video coordinator or something? What the hell is that position?
If they go off sides, you know what, and that guy misses it, and they score a goal as a result.
Is that what it is, or is it?
I do think so.
Or is it the post game video?
No, I just think it's that guy.
Neil, who do you like for candidates that are out there for head coach?
I hear and see a lot about Craig Berube, but I don't know. I would really like to get somebody that's young and maybe somebody that's coming out of college.
What about a guy like a Mike Pekka?
Yeah, I don't think we have to go back to the well and get an old Sabre or anything like that. But they're looking for somebody that's got some experience, some playoff experience, deep playoff experience. I'm hoping. So I don't know. There's not a whole lot of pickings right now, from what I can see.
Well, I saw today that the Sabres locker room would be okay with Lindy Ruff coming back.
I heard that too. I think who was it? Who said that?
I don't think I want to see that.
That was Tuck. Tuck was asked that question.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's like, I don't know how you answer it otherwise, but like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind, but I don't know if the fan base could digest that. I think they're, oh my God. I mean, if the money Pagula has spent on coaches and he's paying their salaries, it's like winning the lottery. Be the Buffalo Sabre coach, because you know what? You could do whatever. You're still going to get paid X amount of dollars. He just signed a contract last year. Granado just signed a contract.
They're paying him 2 years not to be here.
Yes.
That's like the fifth coach they're paying.
To not be here. It's fantastic.
Who knows? They could be still paying Ralph Kruger.
They probably are. And Bilesma and Phil Housley.
Yeah. God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm going to leave it up to them, but hopefully they'll get somebody that has some experience and I don't know, somebody that they got a lot of talent. They just haven't been able to put it together. I think they finally got the defensive end of it worked out at the end of the second half of the year.
And goaltending.
Then the offense dropped. And goaltending, yeah. UPL is awesome.
They just need some nasty guys like a Nazem Kadri or Cabranson kind of guys.
Delory. He's here.
Yeah. Boone Jenner, Tom Wilson kind of guys. They don't have any of that. Who's their meanest guy?
Greenwood.
Greenway, who hasn't been mean at all.
He's their toughest dude.
Yeah, well, that's pretty sad.
He's 6'6". He should be.
Right. He should be.
Neil, how often do you get back to Buffalo? How often do you make the journey back north, if at all?
Two. It used to be a lot more. I would go 3-4 times a year because my mom still lived there.
Okay.
But she recently was relocated here to Winston-Salem in January this year, so I haven't been back. And I don't know. I think if I go back now, I'll probably be going back for a Bills game or something like that.
Oh, you know
I still
what?
got a bunch of friends there, so that's. I mean, I'd be doing something like that. I'd be spending a weekend or doing something like that. But
Sean,
I used to be going down to see my mom.
Sean, this is a crazy idea.
What's
you know
that?
how I always do the Bills kickoff party?
Yes.
What if I open that up to all the people that run chapters for a Bills game weekend? They all come up here and they get buffalo wings.
That would be crazy. We'll
talk about that and we'll work that out. But that's a possibility.
That certainly is.
Yeah, I usually cook up.
I heard that.
I usually cook up about 80 pounds of chicken wings and get a couple pizzas, and then we throw the big screen in the driveway and a couple squares, and usually a good time.
Was this on Briarhurst?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Right in the old hood.
Hey, you said something when you were talking about what Sabres coach or type of Sabres coach you want to find, and you said find somebody younger with deep playoff experience. Now, what triggered me was, isn't that what the Bills should be doing? We're kind of jumping the gun here. I usually talk about Sean McDermott a little bit later, but since it's kind of been brought up.
I'm not opposed to Sean McDermott, and the reason I say that is because if you look at some of the other coaches that have won Super Bowls, granted there have been some very young coaches that have won Super Bowls, but I mean, look at Andy Reid. How long did it take Andy Reid to win Super Bowls?
You're right.
It took him a while. So, I'm up for giving him another year, 2 years maybe. See how this year goes. It'll be a challenging year. See how this year goes. And if, we can't perform this year, I still think he needs help. I think he's a good coach, but I think he needs more help. I mean, they should have somebody on the team that just does time management. He shouldn't be responsible for time management.
Well,
there should somebody be just called down and say, this is what you do.
So was Andy Reid mediocre until he met, or Patrick Mahomes was gifted to him?
He was actually pretty good. I think when he was Philadelphia, they won a lot of games and did playoffs, but I don't think they went very far.
They were the junior Buffalo Bills. They
won one Super. Didn't they win a Super Bowl in Philadelphia?
Andy.
And then they let him go.
No, I don't. Andy didn't win a Super Bowl, I don't believe, until he was with Kansas City. He was always,
because I think the coach for Philadelphia was that other guy,
Doug Peterson.
He's an offensive coordinator someplace now.
Right, and they were labeled the Junior Buffalo Bills because they could get to the championship game, but I believe they lost it 3 years in a row or 3 years in 4. And Andy could get them there, but he could never get them over the hump. And then
I thought he won with 2 different teams.
I will fact check.
Okay, you fact check. Yeah. So as you heard in previous podcasts, I am not a McDermott guy. I think he's gotten them as good as they're going to be. I think Josh Allen potentially could be being wasted with possibly this coaching staff. I kind of been lost after 13 seconds with McDermott.
Well, I don't put all that 13 seconds on him. I also put that on our former defensive coordinator.
The only argument I'll say about that is
whose name shall not be spoken.
Don't you think that McDermott, being the defensive-minded guy, would approve or disapprove of calling a 4-man rush instead of dropping back 10 guys?
I would think so, but you know what? I bet at that point of the game, he figured it was probably over, and he would assume that he would make the correct call.
Yeah.
And I think what he learned is you can't ever assume that anyone's going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Or what he thinks is the right thing.
Right.
Which is probably why one of the reasons he took over the defense this year is because then he has direct control over everything.
Yeah.
Andy Reid has won 4 Super Bowl titles, 3 with Kansas City, and an assistant coach for Green Bay.
Oh, shoot.
Sorry,
Green
bud.
Bay. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
Never with the Eagles.
You know what?
Close.
You know who I'm getting confused? I'm getting confused that Doug Peterson won it and they got fired the next year when they didn't make it.
Makes sense.
Yes, Doug Peterson. That was the guy that did that one.
Is he the head coach of Jacksonville now, or is like Neil said, he's the OC over there?
I'm working on it.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah, McDermott. I don't know. I listen. I'm all about how he changed the culture. Guys are wanting to come here. He did call an amazing defense, considering that he was playing with 3rd and 4th, 5th string guys last year. I think that may have made his seat less hot, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the defense was different, and I thought it was better, it was more aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, statistically, I don't think it was better. I think they were lower than the previous year, but I think they were more aggressive, which I wanted.
Yep.
Because I always thought that they were always. And this might sound weird, but we were a defensive defense instead of an offensive defense. Mm-hmm. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I prefer to see them be aggressive and be an offensive defense. Really go after them. Hopefully that continues, but depends on how who they get this year and who's going to be playing defense.
I think we locally gave the Bills the benefit of the doubt. McDermott, a direct result, because of how many injuries on defense they seem to take and absorb and still kind of keep their head above water. They outperformed considering the talent they lost and really the talent that has not recovered, Von Miller being, the case study. And up until the Kansas City game, they were able to probably outperform our expectations, which is why I think McDermott has a job. Like he really did he probably worked a little bit more magic than he probably could have. When you lose Milano, White is done for the season. Von Miller's still not ready to go to what he was prior to the injury. And they were there. They were there up until Kansas City, where they basically folded like a cheap tent the entire game. It just couldn't help, couldn't do anything, couldn't stop anyone. But yes, Peterson's the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. I mean, I think he did well with what he had, considering that they don't carry many linebackers to begin with, so to lose the main man is tough. But we'll see. This year they should have a lot of them coming back. Some of them not, but a lot of the DLs coming back. So we'll see.
What did you think of? Now, granted, this interview will be released after the draft, but we were talking before the draft. What did you think about all the guys they've let go and just recently Diggs? Because I was a little sad about Davis. Yes, there's been inconsistent, and I don't know if it was about scheming and he was kind of schemed out of it. I heard from another chapter president who's got some inside info that Davis and Bean did not see eye to eye, and that could have been a little retribution or whatever you want to say, for maybe some disagreements off the field or something. But what do you think of the releases of the cuts and some of the off-season signings so far?
Obviously Diggs is a big loss, but on the other side of it too, they were in cap hell, and they had to do something at some point, and it does release a lot of cap for them for next year. And I'm kind of okay with it if they can get a stud, wide receiver or two out of the draft.
Absolutely.
I think if they can draft 2 wide receivers, and even if only one of them ends up being a stud, then I think it was worth it, because the rookie contract's going to be cheap and for what they're going to get. And next year, they'll have even more money to spend because they won't be in cap hell like they are this year, or were this year.
You're the GM, Neil. Are you trading up, or are you going to keep all those picks you've accumulated over the last year?
I'm going to keep the picks.
Okay.
The wide receiver, there's enough wide receivers, I think, that that's based on the fact that I'm assuming that all of the wide receivers will not be gone by the time they pick. If there's a run on wide receivers and 6 go in a row, I might start picking up the phone. But I think if they can pick up 11 players and they can get some impact players out of that, that's going to fill a lot of holes on the team.
Yeah, right. You draft 10 and then 5 of them are instant starters. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And they showed they were more than capable of doing so with Kincaid. I mean, talk about a guy you pick up from the draft, and he is an immediate success, clicking with your star quarterback and making an impact in year 1.
Yeah, and even when the defense at the end of the year, they had rookies playing on the defense last year, and they still did pretty well. So I think they can do it, and if they end up with 4 or 5 rookies that are starters, that's going to bring their cap number way down. It's not going to be expensive to keep them. They might be able to lose a couple other players, and then that bodes well for the next year, where maybe they do pick up somebody that's a little bit more expensive, or they trade up and try to get a real superstar someplace along the way.
Neil, Kyle brought it up a little bit earlier. What was your thought when Diggs was traded?
Oh, I was like, well, it was fun while we had it. I kind of felt that it was kind of coming. It's like there's a lot of drama going on here. Do we need this drama? Do we need this drama and pay all that money?
Right.
Can we do something similar, or potentially have 2 wide receivers that we can get that'll give us the same production as the 2 we have now for a lot less money and a lot less drama?
Right. Neil, go back in time, because you've carried right. You've carried the Bills banner from Tonawanda to Boston to North Carolina. Why has the Buffalo Bills kept you going? Give me your biggest Bills moment that you will take with you to the grave many, many, many years down the road that has stoked your I mean, let's be honest. You've relocated. You're in North Carolina. You're a Bills fan, but you go that extra mile. You set up a Bills backer bar. What motivates all that? What keeps you red, blue, and white?
Sean, that was one of the best questions you've ever asked.
I thought I was going on too long. I was like, get out of this question, Sean. It's taking you too long.
Well, you got to think about when it started. So when I started being a Bills fan, and during a lot of the time that I was a Bills fan, I would say that essentially it's because misery loves company. The Bills sucked for a long time when I was a fan. And, the best part of it is if it's going to suck, you don't want to be by yourself.
Right.
You want to be with other people, and you want to have at least some fun out of it, make some fun out of it. So, in terms of the memories, I think the very first memory that I have that kind of got me really, I was always a Bills fan. My dad was a Bills fan. My mom was a Bills fan. But when I first started, well, you guys probably know, it's St. Amelia's. I went to St. Amelia's and I was an altar boy. And you probably didn't know this at the time, but the priest at St. Amelia's was the Bills chaplain.
Really?
Yeah, Father Mack.
Okay.
And he took me to a Bills game. And, as the chaplain, he just drove up. We walked up. He found an empty seat and plugged me in the empty seat. And at the end of the game, as the players were coming off, he pulled me down. And we went down the tunnel where the players come off, and he introduced me to OJ.
How funny is that? We're okay.
Wow.
So
we're in stunned silence.
It's like how is, and this is when OJ was OJ. And so this is, how are you not impressed by something like that? It's something you'll never forget.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah. Just as I was texting my wife to see if she would remember Father Mack, you dropped that one right there. So we're going back. I got to ask you, what was that experience like? Because that's the Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. During that time period, that's the Dominic Hasek of the Buffalo Sabres. I can't believe you expected that. So when you meet O.J. Simpson wearing the Buffalo Bills jersey, what was that like?
It was for how old I was. It was the coolest thing, obviously. It was back at the Rock Pile too, so it was in a different part of Buffalo, and it was the first time there. It was my first game, and we got to sit up real close, right by the tunnel there, and it was pretty cool because he interacted with the players, and I got to see all the players come off the field, and it was only like a year and after that when the games were on TV, I would have all the players' names memorized. My parents would ask me, "Oh, who's 58? Who's 73?" And I would have them, memorized at that point. So I was a pretty big Bills fan back then, and I don't even memorize all the players now.
And now you're hooked. And now wow, that's remarkable. That'll make you a lifetime fan. Really, that experience. Wow, that is. What was the Rock Pile? What was the Rock Pile like?
It was a dump, but
yeah, but it was our dump, right?
Yeah. I've had a couple of different experiences. I was at that game where we tore the goalpost down, and also I think the three most, that one and the goalpost game, and there was another game I went to see the Bills and Jets in New York. It was a playoff game, and it was back in old Shea Stadium. And it was scary as hell because it was back in the day, and you could bring bottles into the stadium.
Oh God, that's dangerous.
If people knew you were a Bills fan, they were throwing bottles at you because the Bills won in the last 1 minute or something.
Oh, and
it upset the Jets, and all the fans were pissed off. So we didn't celebrate too much till we got outside the stadium.
That's funny. I'm going to take Sean's question that I know he's been itching to ask you. Speaking of OJ, do you remember where you were the day of the chase? What you were doing?
Oh, Lordy. No, I don't remember. I don't remember.
I just remember.
I remember I was probably watching it on TV live when I heard about it.
Yeah. I remember coming home from school and walking in, and my dad was working seconds, and it was on the TV, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And he's like, OJ's on the loose.
Right.
Juice is on the loose.
Yeah.
Juice
and then it was
there.
on TV for the next 2 years or however long that was.
Nonstop.
Unreal.
Neil, it's been a while, but where you're located, when the Bills do make it to Carolina, do you go to the games?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the last couple of times it's been preseason, so we've gotten tickets and gone to the preseason games. There's a big Bills bar right downtown near the stadium. It's called Tavern on the Tracks, and it's just a complete mafia takeover.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's hundreds. Actually, say probably 500-600 people there. It's crazy. Big parking lot across the street from the place. The bar, you can't even get in the bar unless you get there first thing in the morning. But it's just a complete Bills Mafia takeover. It's huge. There's a lot of Bills fans down here in North Carolina, right around the Charlotte area.
How far are you from the Panther Stadium?
About an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. So it's like people from Rochester coming here.
Yeah, it's not bad. And
or Erie.
It's downtown. It's a nice stadium. My brother lives about halfway, so my brother's about an hour away.
Okay.
So we'll go to his house, we'll pick him up, and we'll go to the games from there.
Did your brother grow up, I assume, on Briarhurst also?
Yes, sir.
Was he a Joe's guy, or did he go to East?
Nope, he was a Joe's guy, too. All of our friends went to East, but
okay.
But we were both Joe's guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I was just checking the schedule right now to see if Carolina was on Buffalo's, but it's not. It's not. They
I would know it already. They're not even on the list this year.
No, not even remotely close. Expectations going forward. This is a mixed bag season. It's a season where we've turned over our roster. We got a full stock of draft picks. We're bringing guys back from last year. What, Neil, do you expect out of the 24-25 Buffalo Bills?
Oh, I expect a slow start and a fast finish. I think, as I was saying, if they do go with the strategy of keeping the picks and they end up with 11, and you're looking at some rookies that are going to be starting, I think the first couple games could go either way, depending how when the schedule comes out, what the strength of the schedule is, who we're playing those first couple games. But I think as the year goes on, I think the Bills have a strong enough core that they'll still compete. I don't know that they'll win the division, but I think they'll be in the playoffs. I think given, any team that's got Josh Allen has a chance to win at any time.
Absolutely.
So it could be one of those years where, they're, 9-8 and they go to the Super Bowl.
Keep going.
I think there's a possibility.
With Josh, you have that. We laughed, and a couple of times I brought this up with people that we've interviewed from other Bills bars backers, but we used to go to Disney World a lot as a family. We'd always see one sacrificial family wearing the Bills jersey, and you felt like they'd lost the lottery, and they were just going to get pelted. And we pointed and looked at them like, oh, those poor suckers. But since Josh Allen has been a Buffalo Bills mainstay, he's revitalized this franchise. You already alluded to it earlier when you talked about that you've got Bills backers, you've got Buffalo Bills fans. What has it been like going from the drought era Buffalo Bills to we've got a big dog in the most famous league in America? What has it been like?
It's actually awesome. It's wild because I'll go to the bar and watch the games and stuff like that, and you'll see other people. There's other games at 4:00, and you'll see in other bars. And any place I go, anybody that likes football, they'll all say they love their own team, but they still love Josh Allen.
Yeah,
they love Josh Allen. They all do, and it's even funny. My friends that are in Massachusetts, I have a couple of them that are like, the Bills suck. The Bills will always lose. But I love Josh Allen. Like even Patriots fans like Josh Allen.
We've got a hypothetical question we've asked a lot of our Bills backers. It's almost like a tongue twister, brain teaser almost. We started with Bill Belichick, but we kind of got the same answers with that one. If you could, building off that Josh Allen question, if we could guarantee a Super Bowl win next year, but we have to trade Josh Allen for picks and stuff. We sign Tom Brady for 1 year. He takes us, we win the Super Bowl, but we lose the services of Josh Allen for the rest of his career. What do? Do you follow that fate, or because you're guaranteed one Super Bowl, or do you roll the dice and say, Josh, he could lead us to multiple promised lands?
I would take Josh in a heartbeat.
That's interesting. That's good.
Just because Josh may or may not win a Super Bowl in his career, but he's going to win a lot more games than whoever the quarterback is after Brady.
Right. Yeah, and that's just one of those things. How desperate
everybody, every other team that doesn't have Josh Allen knows how hard it is to find a Josh Allen.
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you this though: is Josh Allen's career going to be a waste if he never gets to the Super Bowl or gets there and loses?
No, I don't think so. I don't think Jim Kelly's career was a waste. Jim Kelly's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I think, and I don't think that Josh is not going to win. I do think at some point if he stays healthy, I think he'll win. He'll win a Super Bowl.
God, I hope you're right.
I think
I do too.
That's what we all pray for.
Before I die.
That's right. One before I die. Because we've had Sean, do you recall who it was that said that last year they considered it a failure if you don't get to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl?
Commentator or a guest we've had before?
I think it was during a podcast or an interview. Somebody said that they consider
I know
a failure if you don't get to the Super Bowl. That's the main objective for every team, right?
Right, and I do understand, but there's a lot more at stake when you're running a professional league. Whether it's the revenue, the TV, the primetime games. I mean, there's a lot more to it than just winning the championship. But I think we've just been so desperate for any sort of winner, both NFL, NHL, that Bills fans are just salivating. And I'll tell you, Neil, like I have to counsel. I love my wife, but I have to counsel her because she has deep anxiety that oh my God, we haven't won yet. Josh is getting 1 year older. I got to talk her down a little bit. I'm like, dude, he's still young. Brady played at 45. I'm like, we've got a lot of years. Just deep breath. Blow into a paper bag. It'll be okay. But I do get a sense around Buffalo there is a little bit of that trepidation of okay, he's not a rookie. Okay, it's past year 5, year 6. When is it gonna? Oh my God, we lost again. But I don't know.
Right. So it's not Josh because Josh is doing everything he can and then some more than any other quarterback. Is it your coaching or is it the GM that's not getting the right players here? Is it just the bad bounces, bad luck of injuries? What is it? Right?
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were saying. Like you keep meeting up against Andy Reid and Mahomes. Like, is that duo just better than McDermott and Allen? Because I would rather have Allen than Mahomes.
I would too, but it just seems that we match up very well with them. We have done well. We've won on occasions, but we've never won the big one, the one that we needed to.
We can beat them in the regular season.
I think
that's
eventually it's going to have to happen.
Yes. Right. So
they're going to lose to somebody else, and we're not going to face them.
Right.
And if we don't face them, I think because if you watch the Super Bowl last year, I think the Bills could have beat both of those teams
on a good day. Yeah.
I mean, with our defense intact. I mean, we're talking like White, Milano's back in. I'll take Von Miller as it was. He's going to be my next question for you. But I would agree with you. I was nervous, looking how Baltimore played. I mean, in hindsight, I think I would agree with you. But, I thought at the start of the season with the roster they were fielding, they could go pound for pound for anybody. But the injuries on defense added up a little bit. And then wonky things occurred on offense. We lost our – right. We haven't asked a lot of people about this one, but what's your take on Von Miller? Can he recover? Do you expect big things from him, or is this by the time get out of the contract, start anew?
I think he renegotiated it, so I think that came down a little bit. So I think this is a big year for him because it usually takes a lot longer to recover from that injury, and most guys are not the same that first year back.
Right.
So I think year 2 for recovering from this injury will be a big one for him. Either he's going to be he's going to play the way he played last year, which is not going to be good enough, or he's going to return to a level above that. I don't know if he's going to be as good as he ever was, but if he's even a level above that would still be worthwhile keeping on the roster.
As the season progressed, he got close. Like if we played maybe 3 or 4 more games, he might be near where he was. But I mean, it was just one of those things that it was just alarming. That but you got to understand it's a process. The recovery, the body doesn't age as well.
Yeah. And that's why I'm thinking this year he might be better this year. If he's not better this year, then I think it's time, move on, get somebody else. And, I wouldn't even keep his contract as a backup.
I'll ask both of you this question. Do you think that the Bills is the final destination for Von Miller in his career?
I was going to look. I want to double check his age. Is he 35? I want to see his age. I wonder if he's older than that. First. Yeah.
Neil, what do you think?
I think after this year, if he has an average to below average year, I think, he's out. You know what I think he is probably going to do is probably going to look at either trying to get into the coaching aspect of it, or he's probably going to look at becoming a minority owner someplace if he can.
Yeah, he just turned 35 end of March, and I do see him as someone who's got that leadership thing, that skill that teams look towards, whether it's his pedigree, his championship, whether it's his upbringing as a high draft pick that made good. I think there's value in his leadership skill. I don't know if it's his cap. Certainly we can't justify leadership qualities with what he's being paid, but I do see, like you said, Neil, a future for him in this league beyond that. But as a player, I don't know if he can't show a little bit more than what he was able to show. I don't know how you take that on any team.
Yeah, and the only other thing I can think of is he does come back with another team, but it ends up being one of those. He sits on the bench half of the time, or most of the time, and they pay him league minimum or something just so he could play.
Speaking of other defensive players, Neil, who I won't even say just defense. Who do you think on the roster currently is going to have a big breakout season next year? Or who would you like to see?
Oh, boy.
I'm waiting for Rousseau to have his breakout moment.
Yeah, I think he's trending towards that. But I think it'll also depend on who's on the other side. Because he will have a better year if there is someone better on the other side.
Oh, right.
I think Dalton Kincaid's probably is going to be the breakout player this year, but I'm hoping it's going to be whatever rookie they drafted.
Right. Yeah. I was very impressed with how Kincaid and James Cook came to the party last year.
I think
finally
they're both
got a running game. Oh,
man.
Well.
I think Cook's had his breakout year. I mean,
so good.
Had a pretty damn good year.
Yeah, If he could bring that back year after year, I'd be satisfied. That's a great pick. He took the step you want to see these players take. At running back, at a receiver. Again, we're spoiled with Kincaid, but the fact that Kincaid was reliable, especially with Knox being out for a couple games, but then Cook taking a step, whether it was catching the ball in the backfield and breaking it or just running, I was impressed. I was more impressed with his ability to run than what he was doing when he was being flanked outside.
What do you think? I heard a knock on McDermott the other day that it took him 5 or 6 seasons to finally get a running game.
Fair or unfair?
Well, I think it's also, dependent on the offensive coordinator that they have too.
Right.
It's their responsibility to devise it. I mean, obviously McDermott can have his opinion on it, but if I'm the head coach, I'm going to try to delegate as much as possible because the head coach's got enough things to do. Yeah. And try to delegate it and have somebody that does, that I agree with what their strategy is. Obviously, if it's not working or if you're not winning, then maybe you can lean on them some more. But I think it comes down to whoever's in charge of the offense. It should be their bailiwick, and they should be the one responsible for whether it's run heavy or pass heavy.
Let me ask you this: do you think if Joe Brady has a mediocre offense this year, do you think his seat's already hot? Do you think the Bills are in that position now where they're so desperate that they bring in a guy for a season and a half, and if it doesn't go well, they're going to move on from him already? Well,
I think at the end of the season, if that's the case, I think there's only one person's opinion that's going to count.
Yeah.
Josh Allen. Yep. If Josh says he stays, he probably stays.
I have this running belief that Josh Allen has his fingerprints, his hands in almost any Bills decision, which is why the Diggs kind of threw me off. I didn't understand the tension until obviously after the trade. I knew there was tension, but I didn't know how deep it ran. But I'm under the impression that almost every major decision has got to go through Josh Allen.
I think he's got a lot of influence. I mean, Brady had a lot of influence. If you're a superstar like that and he wants to win, I think he should have an opinion in terms of crafting the offense, both in the strategy and the plays and the players. Not so much on the defense or special teams, but definitely in the offense. Because if he's part of it, he owns it. instead of somebody telling you what to do, you'd like to have a piece of ownership, and you're more likely to be more successful if you do have a part of the ownership.
I can't remember, but it was a big debate throughout the season. And the debate was, are we saving Josh for the playoffs versus turning Josh loose, possibly leading to an injury? Where were you in terms of that decision to really kind of not put the ball in Josh's hands for the first 9 games? And then they kind of flipped the script a little bit. I do think this is the first playoff series in maybe 3 or 4 years where he was going in somewhat healthy. Where were you on that fence when the Bills were kind of almost collaring Josh a little bit at the beginning of the year?
I was a little frustrated just because there were certain situations where it made more sense for Josh to run the ball. Any 4th down situation, 4th and short, there is no better play, especially if it's less than a yard. There is no better play than Josh. But I do, as he's getting old, it's a tough situation just because I'd love him to be involved all the time and use his skills and his facilities all the time. But also, if he gets injured, we're pretty much toast.
We're a mediocre team at best.
At best, yeah. Because, you look at who our backup quarterback is, well, he's a backup quarterback. He's not Josh Allen. And there's got to be some exceptional coaching to get significant wins under your belt if you're working with a backup quarterback.
I would think you could say that about any team, though, right? If their star quarterback goes down, they're pretty much brought down to a mediocre team.
And it's happened. It even happened this year.
Right.
Does anybody in our division scare you? Speaking about that,
yeah, because you did mention earlier that they may not win the division.
Yeah, Miami lost a lot of players too. They were the closest, and I think they still are the closest. I don't know. I really have no clue how Aaron Rodgers is going to do with the Jets this year.
Again, a year older.
As long as he makes it past 4 plays.
Yeah, if he goes 5 plays, that's fine. It's better than last year.
And the Jets were halfway decent with no quarterbacks.
And exactly. They did it on defense, basically.
Right. Yep.
So, they could be trouble if they actually get an offense together.
Yeah.
I think Miami lost as many players as we did. And, I think they're going to have to either get some free agents or some players through the draft. So I don't know that they're going to be as scary as they were, but they still have their main weapons. So that's always going to be an issue too. So I think the only one that doesn't scare me right now is the Patriots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're going for a 17-year lengthy rebuild.
Yeah.
They deserve that.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Another new quarterback this year.
That's unbelievable too. Talk about a decision that's going to set you back at least 5-6 years. You cultivate him, you play him. He took him to the playoffs, which gives him a little bit of Mac Jones, but then all of a sudden you trade him for a 6th-round pick, and now you're starting over again.
Yeah, with a new coach.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not the Patriot way anymore.
No, it's not. So where you live, Neil, is college football still rule the kingdom over NFL football?
Yeah, college sports are huge down here, obviously, because we've got a lot of NCAA teams here in North Carolina, obviously. Tar Heels and NC State and Duke and Wake Forest. There's tons of teams down here and all the sports they play. So
NC State won the national championship for women's this year, didn't they?
No.
Was it NC State?
No. That was Caitlin Clark.
Both NC States, both of them went to the Final Four.
Yeah. I'm a huge...
What did Iowa lose to in the championship?
I will look that up.
Connecticut won the women's, and obviously everybody knows who won the men's. But
no, I'm a huge Jimmy Valvano fan, so that's why I was curious if you were by NC State, and that's the closest I get to really college basketball. So I was kind of pulling for NC State this year, just as it's kind of a homer pick. Have you been being in North Carolina as long as you've been? Have you kind of latched on to college basketball, or were you always a fan?
I was always somewhat a fan. And just, I mean, I love watching March Madness just because I think that's great basketball. It's better than the NBA playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Because the kids are actually playing for a reason.
Right.
And not just for money. But now it's more about the money. But anyways, but yeah, I'm kind of a Tar Heels fan. I kind of like Duke, Wake Forest, obviously, because they're right here. So, yeah, I'll root for any of the North Carolina teams myself.
Do you get to a few football games?
Yeah, I've been to one Wake Forest game. I'm hoping to do a couple more this year. It's a cool little stadium, and they had a couple of real good years. And actually, the Bills had one of their players for one of those years. And it's a fun environment.
Which Bill are you talking about?
Boogie Basham.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
He's from Wake.
Okay.
No kidding.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pre-scouting, anybody from Wake coming out of the draft this year that we need to keep our eye on?
Oh, nothing I'm aware of. I haven't seen because they had some transfer portal issues, so I'm not sure who's going to be. I'll know better about halfway through the season.
Right.
You think that transfer portal just gets these kids ready for free agency when they make it to the NFL or what?
I think it sets them up for more money as college players.
Absolutely.
Because they can go to, if they make their name in one school for a year or two, they can make some serious money with one of the bigger teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just football. It's not just basketball. It's hockey, too. Almost anything in NCAA, you got that transfer portal, and you're seeing these conglomerate, these just dynasty almost like teams, which is can be good for the sport, but it's like that Yankee effect. It's like, oh God, not the Yankees again, and now I hate the Yankees.
It's kind of like how I feel about the Bruins.
I love the Yankees.
I got to ask. I'm going to jinx my team right here, but you're a Buffalo guy, so you hate Toronto. You lived in Boston.
Maybe he likes Toronto.
Boston, Toronto in the playoffs this year. Who would you rather see win?
Is there a way they could both lose?
Great answer.
Both
I want you to keep that answer. I don't want to jinx my team at all, but I being in Boston as long as you were, I had to ask. I figured with your Buffalo connections, because people around here still hate Toronto, like still with a passion. Of course, they take our seats. They they take over the arena.
It's a first round series, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a given that Toronto loses the first round.
Yeah, right. Usually, yes.
Let's hope that history continues.
I'd like to see Matthew score 70, though.
He didn't.
I know.
He did. I can't.
Does it count in the playoffs, though, as a goal?
No,
it doesn't count towards it?
He had to do it in the regular season to be a 70-goal scorer. It resets.
Damn.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they didn't give that guy an opportunity to score 70. They scored 4 goals. He didn't get one.
Kellen told me that he scored, but it got called back because of offsides.
I wouldn't have challenged it. I would have just let him have 70 goals.
Well, whatever.
Didn't matter.
All right, Neil, let's talk a little bit about food now. What is it barbecue heavy down there where you are?
Oh yeah. Big time. We live about 15 minutes from Lexington, North Carolina, and they have a barbecue festival every year. A week. They shut down Main Street and it's all barbecue.
Damn. So what's second to barbecue?
Or
there is no second.
Second to barbecue.
Seafood?
Maybe.
I don't know.
What's the major barbecue dish down there? Is it brisket? Is it pulled pork? Is it ribs?
Pulled pork.
Pulled
pork and ribs. Yeah, pulled pork and ribs.
Okay.
And it's basically all of them. You go to any of the barbecue places, and it's all 3 of them really, but mostly pulled pork and ribs.
What are? Go ahead. Sorry.
2 types. I mean, there's 2 types of. There's the vinegar based, and then there's the tomato based. It's different types of barbecue all over.
What are some of your fondest memories from growing up in Buffalo, food related or not?
Oh, let's see. Hanging out at the locker room.
Oh yeah, I heard stories. My dad used to tell me stories about hanging out at the locker room.
Oh yeah. Well, here's one for food and hanging out. Hanging out the Pink. Because they had great food too.
Yeah, that steak sandwich.
Yeah, steak and the hamburgers.
Yeah.
On that grill behind the bar. It was incredible.
Only in Buffalo. Only do we have that sort of setup here.
What were some of your favorite foodie spots here while you were growing up?
Or
what do you miss?
Bloody Taco on Hurdle,
Yep.
and then there's there's a bunch of them around now, but Mike, I don't know if you remember Mike's Big Mouth on Hurdle, but it was like ours. It was a hoagie hut. It was steak hoagies,
Okay.
which again, steak hoagies you don't get anywhere but Buffalo.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen it. Not like the ones they have in Buffalo.
Really?
Everybody has like a steak hoagie, it's a steak sub or whatever, but
Right.
it's not the same.
Oh.
It's nowhere the same.
Neil, you mentioned there's really no pizza down there. You crave, picking off what Kyle said, once in a while you're thinking of pizza. What Buffalo established pizza place do you crave the most?
Oh,
From time to time. I should say the most, but.
probably Bocce's and Milano's.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, Milano's. See, Milano's has since closed.
Yeah, I know.
That was my mom's favorite. She loved.
Where was that?
That's trivia.
Parker and
The one,
the Parker,
the new
right?
bar. Remember we played trivia there the one time. It's right on the bike path. You know what I'm talking about. Where I met Bob. One cock rooster.
Howling Rooster Englewood.
Howling Rooster took over Milano's.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very saucy pizza.
I like saucy.
Yeah, no, Bocce's is around. Bocce's has grown.
That's never going to go anywhere.
No, that's a
Yeah,
staple.
yeah, I know. But when I lived on the west side, I also ate Lenovo a lot.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Yep.
Lenova's, Mr. Pizza. That's where I first met Lenova's. It was, oh my God. It's a whole different,
Yeah.
I'm in a whole different area right here because it was fantastic.
Yeah, I used to live up near Buff State, and we used to get Lenovo delivered there. And during the college years.
I went to college at Buff State.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I got something you didn't have. I bet you didn't have a pub on campus.
No
There was
way.
not a bar on campus.
We had a bar on campus.
How did that
It was
happen?
awesome.
How was that possible?
Because they could drink at 18, probably.
Well, no, I know that, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, just the bar?
Professor? I don't know. For professors
Yes.
at the Bengal
Students-
pause. During Bengal
Students
pause.
it was the Buff State pub.
That's
And
crazy.
students were the bartenders.
Oh, my God.
And go in there and have beers on Fridays, and dorm students would be there on the weekends, and they had music. It was a great place, and some of the faculty would actually show up. I've had drinks with teachers there.
I'll have to ask my mom. She went to Buff State. I'll have to ask her if she remembers
If she
the part of
remembers
the pub there.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you remember where it was?
Oh, God.
Was it like in the quad or that main? Oh, I forgot what the name of that building
Rockwell
is.
Hall.
Yeah,
I was
don't
just
remember the
there
name of the
yesterday.
Building.
No, they've got all fancy restaurants. Last time I walked in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed a ton. But it was just a basic pub, but the beers were cheap, and it was, all college students, and some of the teachers and faculty would show up, and
That's funny.
it was just a good time.
That's funny. So, any other crazy? You got any crazy good story you could think of off the top of your head that makes Buffalo special to you?
Oh, God.
The pier, a story at the pier, or anything like that. Niagara Falls.
Well, I've been to Niagara Falls. I used to ride my bike up to Niagara Falls. You've taught a while. You can ride your bike up to Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
It's a hike.
Not so hard now with the e-bikes.
Yeah, just the bridge.
Yeah, right.
No, I can't. I mean, concerts, outdoor concerts, stuff like that, and every blizzard was a memory. I think the worst one is the blizzard of '78. I think it was somewhere around there.
Were you here for it?
Yeah, I was here. I was there, and I remember on Hurdle Ave, there was so much snow that you could actually touch the streetlights.
Oh, geez.
The red and green streetlights that were there.
Wow.
We've had our share of blizzards over the last, I would say,
2
about
years.
the last
2
24
years.
months. We've had
Yeah.
I would say, 2.5, 3 close to blizzards, but like pure whiteout, 20 feet in front of your face, North Pole type things.
And then it melt in 2 days, and then you'd get another one a month later.
yeah, yep.
We had what, 2 blizzards or 3 blizzards last year?
We had
2 years
last
ago.
Year. We had the one that went through Lackawanna that shut down South Buffalo, Lackawanna for
2 weeks,
close to 2 weeks. I took my daughter to a play, and in March there were still piles of snow. Like in Lackawanna, they had that much snow. There were still melting piles of snow in March.
Yeah. I see. I tell this to everybody too. When they ask me about moving, it was like, the happiest day of my life was the day I sold the snowblower.
Oh yeah, that's a great line. That is fantastic line.
You don't miss it at all though up here?
During the spring, the summer.
Yeah.
I came up to visit a couple of years back. It was that terrible, that huge storm, 7 feet is in South Towns.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of Buffalo in the south, it was like 7 feet.
Oh, that was the wall.
I was supposed to go visit my cousins down there, and there's no way I couldn't even get down there.
That day, I remember. So that was when they had that photo of the wall of snow, like right at the Skyway.
Yes, that day.
So people are still mowing their lawn in the North Towns, and then everyone was plowing their lights.
Yeah,
their
my
lights
mom
out.
got nothing in Tonawanda. It's like, and then they got 7 feet of snow.
Yeah. Well, I love it here, but sounds like you got pretty good down there. 70s.
Neil, as I get older, I kind of crave more of your climate. I mean, I get it. I know summers are different, but as I get older, it's like, oh no, I could hear that calling. It's like, oh man, snowbirds.
You're gonna remember that selling the snowblower thing, because it's a great feeling.
I might shed a tear. I actually might cry a little bit, like in terms of like a tear of victory right there.
You know what? I know what he's talking about, because like you go on Facebook Marketplace and you just during like right before snow season, you're kind of like browsing snowblowers, just like, oh, maybe I'll upgrade this year or something. Half of them are like, don't need it anymore, moving south.
Right.
Not taking it with us. No. That's funny. So
yeah. Hey, I got a question for you guys. You probably don't get questions from people, but
we'll take it. We love it.
Okay.
What's the farthest you've driven to taste the pizza?
Oh, intentionally driven to have just the pizza.
Yeah. You're not saying like on vacation. You're saying like we went specifically
for your you're doing your pizza reviews.
Okay. So probably going to be embarrassed by saying this, but I don't think we've gone very far
physically.
No.
But what we do is when we do travel, like because I took my son's. His band, his orchestra.
Bro, that's not what he's asking.
I know. But I'm trying to hold on. What we do is we take pictures of it, and we haven't like physically gone out and done a review on it. But when we're out to like a unique place or a different pizza place, we'll snap photos and show the whole podcast crew what it's like here. But to actually physically go out and try and then just premiere it, it's been no.
So obvious. So we're working out some kinks on how to improve that question about expanding and having the pizza still be nice and fresh, right? Because that's a problem when you're in Tonawanda.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right? Like Lancaster's a hike. A lot of pizza out in Lancaster. That's a hike.
Falls, Lockport.
Niagara, like Lockport, we did. So we've acquired a pizza bag to help us try to keep them warmer. We are actually discussing doing video reviews of all the pizza now, and we're contemplating maybe traveling to the pizza places, having it there, doing the video, and then just doing a recap on the podcast. Because you're limiting yourself. I mean, because if you drive out to Lancaster, it's 30 minutes to a place, and then you're turning around, that's an hour. And the the cheese is going to be almost solid by the time you get back with it. Yeah. So that's tough.
You get half baked.
Well, there's that, and then the logistics of having it cooked here and stuff like that. So so to answer your question, I would say probably Lockport. We've really crushed Tonawanda from Hurdle to here. South Towns we've really hit hard because
South Buffalo.
A friend of ours lives in the South Buffalo region, so. If we podcast on a night that he is off, he'll bring the pizzas up for us. We have not gotten into Orchard Park yet. Just because it's 25 minutes, 30 minutes, one direction, and then we turn around. So if we can figure out how to all go as a group, grab pizza from one place in Orchard Park and one close by, and then like this Pizza Joe guy that's been making his rounds, he's like the Dave Portnoy of Canada. And, if we could do that, then it becomes like two different events. So that's kind of tough too. Everyone's busy. Yeah. You know how it is. And trying to get guys together multiple nights a week for a podcast idea is a little tough. But
yeah, I bet.
So, I got a friend of mine that I knew in Pennsylvania. He was not a cup and char guy, and then I always comment on his photos. You got to sweat your pepperoni, and he finally did, and he's like, oh, my God, it is way better, but the price of it's a little high for me, so I don't. So he doesn't know if he's going to switch or not, but it's just funny. And then I had a friend today send me pictures from Las Vegas. He's at a place called The Rock Pizza. He's like, oh, you should call him up and see if they'll ship you one. And I'm like, aren't you there? Can't you ask them if they'll ship it to New York? Like, what the heck? Oh, I just left. So yeah, it's funny. But yeah, so there's a little, like driving a little further is a little tough in terms of logistics for making it all work in the same night. So, but so like Lockport, we had a battle of Lockport and Niagara Falls. Have we done Niagara Falls?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But we've done a lot of Buffalo.
54. I mean,
we're like 50
We did
something.
54 pizzas just locally because we are awash with pizza. I mean, you can't, just like barbecue down south, like we still have places we haven't even tackled locally, but it would be something to try other regional area pizzas just to get a little bit more of a flavor.
Yeah. That's a thought.
Yeah, we were thinking about maybe trying a wing tour where we hit a friend of mine from the Albany area. He actually drove out to New Haven to try their pizza, Connecticut. He says he loves that style pizza. We got a guy in the podcast, Skip, shout out to you. He loves that wood fire dish, thinner kind of burnish pizza. But he said it was all right. He said it was pretty good. He went to 4 places out there, and I think we were talking about on an off day, get the guys together, and we're going to do a wing tour, hit up like 4 or 5 places. So my buddy from Saratoga came out here with a bunch of guys on his high school football staff, and they hit up 5 wing joints. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is a fun idea. Get like 10 wings from every place and a drink, and then they drive to the next one, and then they try out 5 places. I was like, that was fun. So I joined them. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. So we'll work on the distance thing for the pizza, but yeah, it's tough just because one guy usually volunteers to get it, and if it's we try to match up pizzas that we think will be similar, so it's a more fair, even review. So one guy usually gets it from one area, then another guy gets it from another area, and it's tough, but we'll figure it out. We'll get there. Neil, thank you so much.
Neil, give us a plug of the bar and restaurant that we can find your Bills backers.
And your chapter.
Okay. It's the Winston-Salem Bills Mafia, and we're at the Thirsty Palate and the Hungry Palate downtown Winston-Salem.
Thank you so much, Neil, for your time.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Zabills Podcast is a presentation of Kmart Productions, sponsored by MJB Electric and Dudza Chiropractic. Thank you for listening, and if you haven't, please follow, rate, review the show. It helps with the algorithm. Zabills is executively produced by me, Kyle. Executive sound engineering by yours truly, also me. Fundraising, also by Kyle. All artwork executively produced by Avery and Mark Rochon. What the heck is this? All music and lighting executively produced by Kyle. That's more like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Please drive carefully. Arrive home safely. Good night.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.